Howdy folks. So today we are talking about the Mangird T. This is a very nicely created IEM. It has 6 balanced armatures and one 10mm dynamic driver. They are made about like so. 2-pin connector on that guy. Really nice shells. They're probably sort of very similar to Fearless, except for the nozzle has got the little metal nozzle on there. In terms of how many bores they have, I'm actually not 100% sure. It's got to be either 3 or 4. I want to say 3. I think 3. 3 bores. In terms of the fit and finish, these are very good. It's about as good as it gets on anything. Very easy to fit in an ear. Extremely nice contoured build. They do in fact have a vent on the back of them here. So I think the dynamic driver is vented. And in terms of the tuning, we're going to call these relatively balanced with a little bit of sub-bass focus. So, I love these headphones. They're actually excellent. These are $300. I've had them for about a month and I've listened to them a bunch actually at this point. And so I got a bunch I could talk about. And so the question is, for 300 bucks, should you get these? And the answer is that's a very likely yes, actually. At the very end of this, I'll go over what I consider to be maybe a pair that would beat them for just a little bit less, but this may come down to more preference rather than technicalities. We'll say that. All right, so let me see. Oh, I want to talk about the cable real quick. So that is this silver, nice 2-pin. It's got the ear hooks and all that jazz. Let's see. It's 8 core, I think. Pretty well made. It's not incredibly stiff, but a little bit stiff. As you can see, it does actually hold itself up. And then the plug is about like so, just in case you care. Alrighty. You know what, while I'm here, I'm just going to go ahead and compare the size with what I consider the competing pair, which are the Tantjim Oxygen. So that might show you there that what we're talking about is, they're relatively similar in terms of the size in the outer ear, but we could get that there now, it's going to be hard to see, but yeah, the nozzle on the T is a lot longer than the Oxygen. Also, resin versus metal, but that just kind of gives you an idea. These guys are definitely competing in my mind, and also for the price. So anyways, let's go talk about the T's. So let me pan up to my little graph up here, my chart. And I gotta fix the exposure. There we go. And I'll zoom in just a little bit. Good enough. Alright, so I'll just kind of highlight the line here as I'm talking. So here's our Mangird T, and I sorted my chart by basically, well, let's see here. I'm going to go by the sound score rather than the total. Largest to smallest. Alright, so where are we here, T? There. Okay, starting with any magic factor. I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. I really do like these a lot. The balanced tuning is perhaps not my favorite tuning. I'm more a somewhere between diffuse field and Harman sort of fellow with a bass boost, but I don't dislike this tuning. It's more correct than incorrect by far in my mind. So I'd listen to this any day. It's awesome. 8 out of 10, quite a bit of magic factor in my mind. Somewhat for the tuning and somewhat just for the fact that it doesn't fall down in any area that it could. I'll talk about that. 8 out of 10. Alright, so accuracy. I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10, which is to say the balancedness of it is actually fairly similar to a studio monitor, actually. It has quite a lot of upper end detail. The bass goes into the sub range very far down to 20 hertz, 20-30 hertz. The mids have proper pin gain, a little tad low for my taste, which is sort of the balanced nature of it, but I can't fault it, and so the accuracy will give an 8 out of 10. Wideness, 8 out of 10 as well. They did an excellent job. You do hear sounds appear to come from outside your head. And in fact, it's a very nice 3D nature to it, up and down, left, right, a little bit behind you and all that sort of jazz. It's really quite good. And the wideness, although maybe not the best I've ever heard, I think Mest might beat it, is for $300 is quite stunningly good. Give that an 8 out of 10. 3D, 8 out of 10 as well. Also very good, and partly I think having to do with the tuning. I'm not sure how they get 3D to really happen exactly because I don't make headphones, but the tuning is such that if there, of course, is encoded in your track some type of 3D reverbs, some kind of stage sound, things that you can hear in the ambient area around you, these headphones will replay that excellently, and you will feel like you were there. So I love that. 8 out of 10, 3D. Imaging, we're going to give that a 9 out of 10. It's actually freaking fantastic. I don't know if it gets much better. Mest. Actually, now looking at it, yeah, Mest is the only thing I've rated as a 10. It's about as good as any other balanced armature set. I feel like maybe the electrostatic drivers can get better, but you can really pinpoint pick anything out in 3 dimensions, especially left to right, in front of you, anywhere like that. And it does a really good job of actually hitting behind your head as well. I believe just because the tuning is just that good. Volume scaling, we're going to give that an 8 out of 10. Now possibly that could be a 7 out of 10 depending on the device and the synergy you have. So I'm giving that an 8 with my X-Duo 05 Plus with a Muses O2 op amp. It's got really, really good synergy with that device, and the 3D just pops, man. And I already said that, but the 3D especially pops with this device. And in terms of volume scaling, it's the X-Duo, I believe, is a little bit forgiving, possibly. So it lets you get a little louder than maybe some other devices that are a little more, say, clinical. But the treble, the upper treble, say above 8K, is a little higher than is my preference, possibly. So these would be a set that I could listen to medium loud, medium to medium loud, but not loud, if that makes any sense. They do start to get a little bit, there really is no frequencies that pop out as being too high. It's just a little bit grating on the nerves after you get that sucker blasting. So 8 out of 10 and possibly 7 depending on your device. Next up, texture of bass. It is absolutely great. It's in my mind, 8 to 10 on this is going to be anything. I just fantastic, love it. So sub-bass focused bass, very little mid-bass bloat, well, no mid-bass bloat, just proper amount of mid-bass in my opinion. And you can really crank, as you crank the volume up on this, or you could add EQ, it lands in a perfect place to act like a subwoofer, and that's my favorite. So 8 out of 10 on bass, love it, love it, love it. 10mm dynamic driver, better than most balanced armatures out there. Mids, we're going to give this an 8 out of 10 as well. I don't remember looking at what type of drivers they are. I believe the Sonyan, I don't have the model number, but Sonyans make the best mid drivers for my ears, balanced armatures. I'm not sure what this has. It maybe sounds slightly drier. Maybe they aren't Sonyans, maybe nulls. And then the pin gain is like maybe 2 or 3 dB below what I kind of like, which is totally within range of being correct and normal. And that kind of sort of gives you your balanced aspect to it. And then, you kind of look here, you get like 8 in bass, 8 in mid, 7 in treble, 7 in resolution. So, I don't know, it sounds kind of balancey to me. Great mids. Not the best I've ever heard, but really great. Detail is going to be a 7. Now, I'm not sure if it's the balanced armatures they used, possibly nulls, but there's a hair of grainy nature to the treble in this set. It also could be that it is just tuned with a little bit of extra treble above 10K, and in fact it does look that to my eyes, but a little bit extra treble up there brings out a grainy nature in recordings that possibly other sets are more forgiving at, especially electrostatic drivers don't do that at all. There's, or at least from what I've heard. So, 7 out of 10 for detail, and then the resolution as well. I didn't hear anything extra super special, but I did hear some nice resolution, so we'll give that a 7 out of 10. Certainly is an electrostatic type of resolution. It's definitely balanced, squarely balanced armature. Pressure buildup, there are none. They have nice vents, that's excellent. Of course, these are just extra metrics. Isolating, they actually fit really well. Great size, great everything, great fit. 4 out of 5. Binaural, excellent, fantastically excellent. A little bit extra treble does give it just a hair of less than realism, but there's more correct in this than is wrong, and so I hear that as being a 4 out of 5 in binaural. Yeah, hell yes. So yeah, for $300, I believe these do compete very favorably, and in fact do beat the Fearless S8F, S8Z, I believe. In my opinion, they do. I do like them better, and you know, those sets also have balanced armatures for bass, whereas this has got the dynamic driver, and that just you know, it helps, we'll just say. So overall, we're going to give them an 89 out of 100, which is really great. Or sorry, well, that's the total score, including extra metrics, but a 78 out of, what does it go up to? 100, sorry, 100. Yeah, that's right, the extra metrics, I forgot, I put those over 100. So basically, on the sound score, this rates up to 100 total, yeah. So overall, do I recommend these? 79 out of 100, absolutely fantastically yes. For $300, they are great. I believe that these might do better for someone that enjoys a little bit of extra balanced armature tonality versus, let me just talk about that for a second, versus what I consider, so these are $275, let me just pan down, grab these up a little bit. You know, they're the Tench Gym Oxygens, and I believe these are probably their closest competing pair. The Tench Gyms have less of a balanced frequency response, and more of a Harman, actually. And I like that a little more. There's a little more mids, a little more high mids, a little more bold mids. The dynamic driver in the Oxygen sounds richer, and I specifically wanted to mention this. The mid-range, I've A-B'd these a bunch, and the Tench Gym Oxygen is not only more forgiving, but also more rich. And more coherent, if just a little bit, than the T's, which I don't care too much about. But the richness I do care about, and I find that the emotion that I get out of the Oxygens is at a greater level than I get out of the T's. Regardless of everything else, that's just the way my brain interprets this. So I wanted to mention that. And so, if, you know, I don't know if they're going to discontinue the Tench Gyms. I've heard maybe so a couple times. They're still around. I don't think you can get black, but if it was between these two, I'm definitely going to pick the Tench Gyms. Now, the size of the bore on these is completely different, and there's a high chance that one of these will fit you well and one won't. Also, a couple of folks that I've talked to really had a bad reaction to the T's, and also some folks absolutely loved them. So I don't know if it's just, you know, maybe balanced tuning is just polarizing or something like that, but I wanted to mention that. So I do recommend these, absolutely. If you've got a pair of these, then, you know, enjoy them. They're great. Could it get better? Well, if you're out in the market going to spend $300, get yourself a pair of these bad boys right here, the Tench Gyms. I can tell you for sure that some folks these turn them off. They're just boring, they're black, these are much more pretty to look at in all respects. They really are, including the shell and the fit and the finish and everything else. So if that matters to you, then the T's are going to just look better in your ears. But I find that the Tench Gyms edge them out in pretty much all metrics, actually. I'm trying to think if the T's beat them in any aspect, and I'm going to say no. So, wanted to go over that. Wanted to give these T's a good shout out. Buddy from Discord sent me his pair to test, and I've been slacking I actually, a couple, well, when I first got them, I didn't like them that much, and it took me a little while to warm up to them, and all that sort of stuff that people, reviewers, have to do. But overall, if I'm being honest, this is exactly the way they are, really. Would I buy them? I would have bought them and enjoyed them had I not known about the Tench Gym oxygens. If that sounds honest. All right, folks. Y'all have a great day. See you on the next one.